of our mayor and city council members. Give them wisdom, give them discernment and clarity as they seek to make decisions together that will benefit our community, from the youngest of us to the oldest of us. In closing, as I'm sure there will be a variety of topics that will be discussed this evening, help our mayor and city council members be attentive to everything that will be put before them and said to them from our community. And as there will be differences of opinion due to the multiplicity of topics that will be discussed this evening, may our mayor and city council members collectively as a whole be a unified front at the end of this meeting. We submit this prayer to you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. First to the pledge of our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you. Our first item of business is our special presentation that will be given Business of the Month, presented by JEDCO President Shane Pace. Mr. Pace.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. This month we are honoring the Cherokee Ranch Golf Club. I have Anthony Williams here. Anthony, if you don't mind coming up. So folks, we have a lot of people in the room tonight. Every month we honor a different business here in Jacksonville that is contributing to the community in a great way. And the Cherokee Ranch Golf Association, or the golf club, they have been doing a ton of work out there. They've been a great partner with JEDCO as well as with the city. They manage the golf course. They have recently invested in pickleball courts. That was about an $80,000 investment there. They partnered with JEDCO on that. They're building a new clubhouse right now. They're continuing to serve the community in many ways with First Tee and some of the other partnerships that they have. And it's people like Anthony and his board members and the folks out there that are working every day that really make Jacksonville a great place to live and work. And we want to continue those partnerships and just say thank you for all that you guys are doing out there, Anthony. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Anthony. Our next item is citizens' participation. This is where we set aside some time to hear concerns from the citizens. It's not a dialogue. We just listen and take under advisement things that you want to talk about. I do have three that have turned these in. It appears that all three are related to item number 9 on our agenda, which is our public hearing. That's probably a more appropriate place. You'll have a chance to come and speak for or against that during the public hearing. So I'd like to, if that's what you want to speak on, I'd like to defer those to that item. Is there anyone else that wanted to speak on another topic that didn't turn one in? We will get to these, I promise you. Just okay. Is that okay, Brett?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Hearing none, we'll continue. Our next item is our consent agenda. Items under our consent agenda require little or no deliberations by the council. You can see those there, council, are approval of the minutes, holiday calendar, purchase of 3 Tahoes. Yes.
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
We have a motion by Councilman Rob Goen.
Second.
Second by Mayor Pro Tem Tim McRae. Any discussion on any of those?
The only clarification I'd like to make, Mayor, is that we understood from the workshop that we'll be observing the Veterans Day holiday on Monday, November 10th, and then you'll still hold your regular meeting in 2025 on Tuesday, November 11th.
Correct. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carried. Item number 8 is to discuss and consider with possible action awarding the construction of the Sunnydale Street lift station project.
Yes, Mayor, City Council, you got a wonderful overview of this project from Neil Holland of Stokes & Associates, the design engineer, as well as Randall Chandler, our Director of Public and Community Services, at the Thursday workshop. This project was bid out. The city received 5 bids for the construction of a sanitary sewer line enhancement project to include standby generation and a lift station. The low bid came in at $460,000 from CAPS Capco. The design engineer has determined them to be a qualified contractor and is recommending award to them. This is in and around the area of the Sunnyvale Apartments and Medivac Road south of Tina Street. We would expect construction to commence prior to the end of the calendar year on this project, and it does complement the larger $7 million sewer project that will be hopefully kicking off first half of 2025 in this general area.
Okay. Very good. So you've heard that explanation. I'll entertain a motion on that.
I'll make a motion that we award the bid for the construction of the Sunnydale Street lift stations.
I have a motion by Councilman Rob Goen,
Second.
second by Councilwoman Latitia Horace. Any other discussion we might need? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Oh, thank you. Item number 9 is our public hearing. We will hear and receive input regarding a requested zone change from B, 1 and 2 family, to G, commercial, with a special use permit to allow for a residential treatment facility for mental health and substance abuse at a property located north of the intersection of Benson Memorial and East Pine, adjacent to Benson Memorial Church, described as Lot 4B, Block 4, Ellis Heights, City of Jacksonville. Property ID is 2247-83000.
Yes, Mayor, City Council, just give a brief staff update prior to opening the public hearing.
Okay.
The applicant, Mr. Troy Dorman, who is here this evening, has applied for the 1 and 2 family zoning that's currently on this property to be revised or amended to G commercial with the special use permit for the residential treatment facility. Give me one moment, I'll do. Good?
Yeah, we're good.
Perfect. Here's an overview of the zoning map as it stands today, with the zoning classifications or districts being on the right-hand side of the screen. That's our zoning legend, broken down into residential, non-residential, and then other uses being open space and planned developments. This case went before the Planning and Zoning Commission on Tuesday, September 17th of this year, and there was a unanimous recommendation by the Planning and Zoning Commission to deny this zoning request. You see that generally this rezoning request sits amidst the 1 and 2 family zoning uses. To the east of this subject property, you do have some G commercial, which is this applicant's request. While it is currently zone G commercial, I believe it to be currently in a more residential or duplex style use at the current time. So this special use permit, as you go through our zoning code of ordinances, you're going to see the different districts and then the special uses authorized in each of those districts. This particular special use request, as defined there on the left-hand side of the screen, is allowed all the way from the C, multifamily, low-density residential classification, down to the P, planned development. So it has a pretty wide swath of zoning categories or districts that are applicable to this particular special use permit. I will remind the council that if it is to be in a residentially zoned property, the property must be at least 5 acres. So for that reason, I believe the applicants like to go G commercial because the subject property is 1.8 acres. Therefore, C, D, and E are ineligible for the SUP. And just as a reminder on SUPs, and I think for the benefit of the audience, they do require a affirmative 4/5 vote of the City Council after hearing by the Planning and Zoning Commission and required state notices. And then there are kind of 8 conditions based that the City Council is to consider as they hear commentary this evening. And that is that the Planning and Zoning Commission shall determine that such uses are harmonious with and adaptable to building structures and uses of abutting property and other property in the vicinity of the premises under consideration. So that's to be considered this evening and was considered by the Planning and Zoning Commission. Also, if an SUP were to be issued this evening, per our code of ordinances, if the property changes hands voluntarily or if it's damaged more than 50% by fire, the SUP is basically relinquished and then would have to be reissued based on a new application. We've done that in the past on structures here in town that were damaged by fire. And then 3 through 8, I've kind of curtailed them just slightly, but definitely aim at the original intent here, that the granting of a special use permit by the City Council may impose conditions. Those conditions apply to the issuance of the certificate of occupancy. 4 on the list basically says that the applicant is to comply with those conditions. If they're unwilling to agree to those, then there's no need to pursue any further down the SUP path. that a building permit shall be issued within 6 months of the granting of the special use permit. It goes on to say that that can be extended by additional city council action, but that's the baseline. That no alteration, modification, or structural alterations may be made outside of the bounds of the SUP if one were to be issued this evening without seeking an amended SUP. That the Board of Adjustment or the Zoning Board of Adjustment has no jurisdiction on SUPs. And then finally, that if approved, the SUP is to be indicated on the official zoning map of the city with a S, just to indicate that an SUP is overlaid on your base zoning in that district. And then this was a site plan issued by the applicant on the 1.8 acre site. Generally, north is up on this exhibit, so generally the complex, which is kind of like a hub and spoke style complex, 96 beds, would be on the west side, favoring the west side of the property, with adequate parking east of the facility. And that's all I have.
Okay. So at this time, I will open up a public hearing to hear and receive input regarding this requested zone change. And I know there's a lot of interest in this. Do we know how many people would like to speak for the zone change? Is it 5 or less?
Yes.
Okay. How many would like to speak against it? Is it, if we could just limit that to about 5? Well, I have 3, so that would, no, I have 4, so if you wanna come and speak in favor of, this would be your time, and then we will, pick up with those that are against it. So if you'd like to speak publicly in favor of the zone change, now's your time. Come to the podium, state your name, and then, if you will, here, so we can.
I'd like to toss to you, is there a chance that we can go second instead of going first?
Sure, no problem. If you prefer that, that'd be fine. Sure, okay. So we'll change that. So, anybody that wants to speak against it, we have 4 here that I know have turned in, and or 3, and I'll just go in the order that I've got them in my hand. Pastor Tommy Starks, if you'll come to the podium, give your name and address, and maybe limit your comments to some precise amount of time, maybe 3 or 4 minutes maximum or whatever. So, but we're here to listen.
I will try to limit mine.
That's fine. Thank you, sir.
I'm Thomas Starks. I reside at 922 Benson Memorial.
Okay.
I am the pastor at Benson Memorial CME Church.
Okay.
The lot which you have is one of the things that we are in consideration and that we're thinking about and that we've looked at. At the present time, what you're talking about and using and changing the zoning for this facility would not be prestigious. Well, may not be a correct word. Would not be right. With Benson, there are approximately 10, 15, maybe 20 of the members of our church who are seniors. And one of the things that they spoke to me about was the fact that if a facility like that was placed here, that there would be an opportunity that different things could happen. We hope it doesn't, but different things could happen that would change where we would have to lock our doors, put alarms and all like that. We're supposed to have them on there anyway, but that's another story. But what we want to do is to keep it where it is as a nice, loving community. We have, within this community, worked very hard to update housing, people who sub-housing. We've gone through the process of putting out flowers and all of those things of that nature to try to update the community. So we think that this would be a really a disastrous blow, not only, and finally, in this area, you have schools with the school district in that area. You also have a seminary within that area. And then you have not only one, but you have two churches. And with that, and then you put in with that residential persons who live in that area, I really don't think that that would really, really, really be an ideal location. I say this, and nothing to take away from anybody, but if you put it where we are, try putting it where you are, and see if you like it over there where you are, before you try putting it where we are, and see if you like what's happening where you are, where we are, and see if you like it that way. That's what I suggest to the council. I was here for the planning and zoning. I said then what I'm saying now. It's not a good an idea. I thank you for giving me the opportunity to present. And may I, would you allow me, the members of Benson and other community area people, would you just stand, please? They're all concerned. They're all concerned. And for you to do that would really be a disgrace. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. The next person is Dr. Kenya Edom. If you'd like to speak, that would be great.
Dr. Kenya Adam here to speak and represent. As you guys know, we have been working very, very hard in District 1 to change the mentality of people thinking of that as a drug-infested, impoverished community. We've got 3 aims. Those aims are safer, smarter, and healthier. And no one can supersede another. Our gentleman is suggesting that health should supersede this community's purpose of trying to regain its status as being elite, middle-class people who are working really hard to do a good job. The fact of the matter is that with that mental health facility that he's speaking of, it's very specific to veterans. We don't have a whole lot of veterans in our community. It's also more of a post-treatment center, which means that those are people who they're not mandatorily being called to come in, and I'm sure he will correct me if I'm wrong. But in these types of facilities, these people are coming from out of state, out of town. They don't care about our community. They rarely care about our community. And veterans always come with a lot of skills in military. So I have brought the most recent statistics that have been done on mass shootings. So let us keep in mind, this project that was done by the National Institute of Justice, they looked over the past 50 years of mass shootings, and what they came up with was that most of those have happened in the last 10 years. There's been 167. The most devastating of which were in the last 5 years. And let me cut to the chase. The death toll has risen sharply, particularly in the last decade, in the 1970s. Mass shootings claim an average of 8 lives per year. Most individuals who perpetrated the mass shootings had a prior criminal record, 64.5%, a history of violence, 62.8%, and domestic violence, 27.9%, and 28.5% had a military background. Most died on the scene of the shootings. We want to stay safe, and we want our community to be safe. Somewhere else, please.
Thank you. That's all the cards that I've got as far as against. Was there anybody else that would like to speak against during this public hearing? Okay. come and state your name and address for the record.
My name is Peggy Alexander. I would like to thank Mr. Hubbard for solving a problem that we've had for probably 15 years or more. But right now I'm concerned about, we all have spent a substantial amount of money through the years, and when we complain, Mr. Worley would come out and only like mow the grass or trim some trees or something. But after finding the major problem, they found it on Beaumont Street. And we were just wondering, is there any way that we could get any of our money back due to the problem of it being not a problem of ours? It's like for the city where they didn't really look for the problem all these years.
Thank you for your comment. The public hearing, yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Anyone else about the zoning change? Okay, now, yeah, those that are for, it's your turn. Thank you. And anyone else that wants to speak in favor of? Thank you, sir.
Okay. My name is Troy Dorman, and I live in Tyler, Texas. I was born in Texas. And people's fear, I understand people's fear. And we went through the zoning committee and we talked about what a great treatment center and how wonderful our staff is, and the results are fantastic and those types of things. And what we didn't address was we didn't address the fear. We talked to someone in the city who said, don't share with you our plan. Our plan the whole time for 8 years has been to hire police officers. So to staff 24/7 with off-duty police officers, they appreciate the extra hours, the extra paycheck, and they're uniquely trained to be in there. I can share with you that I've run residential treatment centers for 20 years with the caveat that all of them, every one of our treatment centers were voluntary. So the people had to go through a process of qualification to get into the facility. And part of that is, the biggest part of that is to make sure it's a good fit. So if they're dangerous, they can't come. If their mental health problems are too great, they can't come. If they can't fit into a group conversation and help the group, they can't come. In 20 years, we never one time had an accident, a fight, anything. We had a 17-year-old boy punch another 17-year-old boy in the nose because he looked at a girl that he had a crush on. And that was it. You don't have people in a voluntary setting, you don't have people going out that door to go commit crime. They would get kicked out. And this is their chance at life. This is their chance to get back with their family. We heard from the doctor talking about how many mass shootings there were, and 28% of them were for people who had a military background. What percentage of all of those mass shootings were people who had mental health issues, possible substance abuse? How many of you have heard ever in your life that these people who committed this crime that had this mental health or substance abuse, that none of them needed help? You've never heard that. Because what do they need? They need help. How many of those mass shootings would have been prevented had they received help, an appropriate level of care? If they're in a situation such as jail or something like that, and they're forced to come into a treatment center, they're just getting out of jail. They don't have the results. We had 89% success rate when people volunteered to come. They stayed longer than 90 days, and we gave them hope. We talked about a lot of deaths. We talked about all kinds of things. There's 22 suicides today and tomorrow and yesterday from this group of people, war veterans suffering with PTSD and using alcohol and drugs to self-medicate. That's 800 a year officially. 800 a year. It's 5 times that unofficially. It's a very large number. 40,000 suicides from that group. And what's the number one reason is they don't have hope. We're paying for this ourselves. We have no government grants. I'm personally paying for this with my wife. We're sacrificing everything we've got to build this facility so war veterans in Massachusetts or someplace else could hear about it and have hope. Maybe I can get in there. Maybe I can get a job. This is a faith-based program. This is for people who need forgiveness in your life. I don't know how many of you are faith-driven. I don't know. But these people are isolated. They have nobody. There is no hope. The VA doesn't have a facility like this. They've asked to contract with us because they can't integrate treatment. The VA did that. UT Health wants to partner with us. Tyler Junior College asked to partner with us. We've got a lot going on, and this is terrific. So we've got security in place. It's been in place for 8 years. That's an appropriate step. We stop the people from even showing up by doing the assessment prior to them getting here. When they get here, and I've seen this, they cry. They're thankful. They get a new wardrobe. They have hope. When they have hope, suicides drop like a rock. That's what the purpose of this is. We don't bring criminals in here. We can't allow people with a criminal background to come in here. We don't allow people who've got domestic violence experience to come in here. Those people aren't here. These are people, and the good Reverend brought up such a great point. Don't put them in our neighborhood, consider putting them in your neighborhood. Well, let me ask the Reverend, if this was your son, and it was your son who's suicidal, and there's no place in the country to go except here's a chance for him to get into a facility in Jacksonville, Texas, where would you want them to vote then? What if it was their kids? There isn't one, and I've done the research, and the VA has too, and I'm telling you right now, it doesn't exist. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for your comments. Appreciate it.
How do you think this one? Never answered that question in terms of.
This really should be a dialogue between them, so thank you so much. Anyone else want to speak in favor of? If not, I will close the public hearing, and we'll go to item B to discuss and consider with possible actions approval of the ordinance granting the requested zone change with a special use permit. Do you have any other comments?
No, sir.
Okay. So I will entertain a motion.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to deny the zoning change from B to G with the special use permit.
We have a motion by Councilwoman Latitia Horace to deny. Second by Mayor Pro Tem Tim McRae. Any discussion we need to have?
I'd like to offer just a couple of comments, considering that this is being proposed for District 1. And I would just like to say to the applicant, I certainly can appreciate the premise behind what it is you're looking to do. I can. Alcohol and drug abuse is something that is rampant in this country. It is something that I have members in my own family that have struggled with it, that are currently struggling with it. So I don't sit here and speak from a place of disregard or a place of simply not being able to relate. But for me, this comes from two places, two perspectives. One, I have to listen very closely to the people that I represent. And two, I live literally down the street from the site that you're proposing. And there is a concern about the population that you're looking to serve. And when it comes to safety and security, and you're proposing to put this in a residential neighborhood, that is a concern. Even with the security measures that you're proposing, there is the concern that things could still happen and get out of hand. I understand that you're offering to be very selective in who is in your facility. I have to wonder, if you're that selective, are you really serving the people who need the most help then? We also talked about, I mean, you didn't bring it up today, but there's the issue of serving veterans and what it is that you're going to charge folks that are going to be in the facility. And I don't know how many veterans can actually afford that cost. So I don't know how many veterans are going to actually be benefiting from it. So there's just a lot of concern that I have with it. And I just can't in good conscience approve it. I think that drug and alcohol treatment is important. I think it's something that even as a community we could benefit from. But I think its location, I think its proximity to not one but two schools in this community is just too much of a risk for us to take. And I think it's something that could be looked at and maybe proposed elsewhere. And I think those are all the comments that I can offer.
Anybody else? Any comment?
And I'm with Latitia on all this, that, I mean, the concept of this type of facility is excellent. I mean, it's something that, you know, maybe our town needs, but from my perspective, as a councilman having to approve something like this, the only thing I have to look at are 32 parking places and 1.5 acres and baseball fields and sporting fields, and I don't know how that fits in all that space. I mean, I'm just one of those brainy people that, you know, show me a floor plan of the hospital, show me a floor plan of the treatment center, how it fits on 1.8 acres, and I'd feel better about supporting something based on just, I'm a math person, I'm a numbers person, I'm a visual person. Show me how this all works on that piece of land. You know, that's it.
Okay. Anybody else? Well, I'll call for a vote. All in favor of denying the SUP and the zone change, say aye. Do we need a,
I'm sorry?
You don't need a roll call.
we don't need a roll call? Okay. All in favor of denying the zone change, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the denial carries. Thank you. Item number 10 is any action out of executive session, which we do not have any. So item number 11 is open forum for mayor and council. So anybody have anything you want to talk about, mayor and council? Nothing? All right. We'll go to city manager's report. Thank you.
Very well, thank you, Mayor. Pretty short this evening. We've been talking about the boating access grant for a long time. We had talked about it starting in October. We received a letter last week from the contractor that they would be starting in November. They were issued a bunch of change orders on their current contract in Tyler, Texas, and so in order to give us a satisfactory crew down here to continue construction and start construction on our project, they've had a delay until November. We will definitely still see this start before the end of the calendar year. You will see some work led by our staff. It's actually already underway. There was some asbestos abatement going on in the structure today by a professional service entity. And you'll see some structures removed between now and probably the start of construction in November, but just wanted to make the council aware of that. One thing we stressed to the contractor was, when you start, you start. We don't want to see a couple guys one day and then they leave, and then a couple guys and gals come 3 or 4 days later.
Right.
That's very frustrating. You want to see consistent progress. So I do actually appreciate the fact that they've said, hey, to give you what you've asked for, we don't want to send a couple guys and a couple shovels. We want to send the whole crew. So slight delay there. However, they have issued in writing that they don't intend to delay the completion date, which is spec'd for late May 2025. Community health fair, and Renissa can probably elaborate on this if you have any questions, but there'll be a community health fair. I guess it's our second annual. This was an effort kind of spearheaded by Renissa last year, held at UT Health Hospital here in Jacksonville. I think there were upwards of 3 dozen vendors last year offering a myriad of different services there in kind of the foyer lobbies and some of the hallways that spawn off of that. And it is open to the entire public. So we really started that as an initiative just aimed at our employees, and then we found out through Shane there were some employers in town that were interested in something like that, and then albeit we just said, hey, with all this effort, why don't we just open it up to the whole community? I know for a fact last year we had one female take part in the mammogram screening, and they actually had early detection of breast cancer, and she went on to receive further treatment. So those are incredibly important, and that's an opportunity at the fair. Outside of that, I hope you were able to come to National Night Out last week. It was a great party. It was the 4th annual party where we consolidated all the effort that goes into National Night Out into downtown. So Amanda Bragg has done a wonderful job spearheading that. Our business community comes out to shine. I was going to allow Chief Williams a minute or two to elaborate on that, and then there's a video put together by Al Lambert, who does a lot of work for us and works at Central Baptist Church.
Can we go back to open forum for 1 second? Look at District 1. Congrats, you people. It's impressive that you came out and you made your voices heard. It makes me feel good to sit here and see the engagement of the community. Okay,
Chief.
that's it, Chief.
So this is our 4th year. So we used to do neighborhood parties that had about 10 at each one of them, and we decided we'd move it downtown, and I think we went from 5th place nationwide to 2nd place nationwide to 1st place last year in the United States of America. And this is our 4th big party. Attendance, I'm still looking and doing the evaluation of drone footage, but everybody that can see knows that we had more people this year than last year. Last year we had 9,000. When you look to the west towards Ragsdale, last year there was a void of people. This year it was packed. I think the west side of the overpass had more people on it than the east side. So very, very proud of our community, very proud of Amanda's efforts. Every year she goes out and talks people into supporting.
Well, the taser did it for me.
Well, it's whatever works. One of the commentaries that I keep hearing, we, for the last 6 months, have struggled with whether we would compete this year again, and we decided that we weren't. And here's the reason why. If you look at the top 25 cities, or the top 25 in our categories, a lot of those cities are other Texas cities. We have been contacted by many of those on the list and other folks within the state and actually even outside of the state. How do we get to 1st place? And like I told you, I've been doing this 34 years, first time I've ever seen a trophy. So the more we got to talking about it, wouldn't it be great if other Texas cities could also achieve the 1st ranking in the nation? Texas really seems to have a hold on National Night Out. We're very proud of that. I got asked at the police chiefs conference about our 1st place rating, and we're sharing the wealth. So I know that Kilgore's asked her for a lot of information. This is your opportunity to shine once again. You're on national television, it's right there.
Mayor and City Council, thank y'all for the opportunity to allow us to be centralized in one location. I think that's ultimately what created the success for our city, and also offering to our citizens in our community that everything was out. There was only 2 rules of our entire event: that there is no alcohol and that everything is absolutely free. That way everyone has the equal part to participate in anything that they wanted to. So it means a lot to me to be able to come and do that. So thank y'all very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you, Amanda.
Push and play.
You want to watch the video first? It did work, Brett. Ooh, do we have audio?
Nobody knows how to work that.
Amanda's gonna save it again.
I didn't get on the bull this year.
Maybe you just gotta turn the volume up.
Is there a TV remote by you, Brett?
Get a shirt right now.
Pulled out all stops this year.
thankful for all of y'all.
Go back to the slideshow and start it over.
Can you click it back?
Can you click it back?
Oh,
Meet your police officers that are out here every day working hard for you.
Sorry. It's really important that you get the whole idea.
You don't have to pay for a thing out here. It's all free. So eat, drink, have fun. The National Night Out campaign provides an opportunity for neighbors in Jacksonville to join over 38 million neighbors across 18,000 communities. We're so thankful for our law enforcement officers and for a night to celebrate them and recognize them. And Lord, with all the nonsense going on in the world, I pray that they feel the love tonight. This is the biggest National Night Out party in East Texas, and I'm very thankful for all of y'all. Meet your police officers that are out here every day working hard for you. Chief, by not competing in the competition this year, as Don Meredith would have said, you took one for the giver.
We would have been amazing, I have no doubt. And special shout out to Rob for cooking some meat. I appreciate his time, his energy, his resources. Thank you very much.
You bet. Great. All right, anything else? We'll stand adjourned at 6:43.